Good evening, everyone. I want to talk about two things today. And so the topic for today is going to be about a news regarding the furloughs and also some news that has come out about employers being audited and questioned by the Department of Homeland Security and ICE officials. My name is Denu Maru. I am an attorney, immigration attorney here in Chicago, Illinois, and I serve clients in all 50 states. To get in contact with me, please call 312-854-7065. Again, that's 312-854-7065. So, some good news today. Let's start off with that. There were furloughs that were being planned for USCIS, and we got word today that they are being canceled. And what does that mean? What that means is that they were planning to cut staff and they were planning to cut hours of staff that would have resulted in huge, enormous delays of USCIS applications. And, the delays, as we know, most of us know, are already pretty strong and pretty heavy. And those delays would only have been extended with these furloughs. Those furloughs are being canceled. USCIS has seen sufficient funding to continue current staffing levels. So that's great news, because what that means is that if you have an application that's pending, or if you are planning to put in an application in USCIS now, that you will not experience unnecessary extended delays and time lags. So it is a great time to put in applications. Like some of us also know, there will be some changes in terms of USCIS fees, particularly for naturalizations, starting October 2nd. So it's a great time to put in applications if you are eligible for naturalization or you're eligible for filing for a green card. Doing so before October 2nd will likely have great advantages. So definitely call and see if that's something that would benefit you to apply in this window before October 2nd. Also, now with the furloughs being canceled, there won't be the worry of extended time delays for applicants. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we have seen an uptick in calls, and there seems to have been some kind of an investigation, some finding of fraud on behalf of a few companies in the US. And what I am understanding is that these companies were selling offer letters to OPT students who have a very limited time frame in which they must find an employer, even if it's an unpaid employment, in order to keep their visa status active. And so, specifically, when you graduate from a U.S. university on an F1 visa, you do have the right to apply for an OPT, which is optional practical training. And once you get OPT status, you must find a paid or unpaid employment within 90 days. And so your maximum time of unemployment is 90 days. For those students who were not able to, because with COVID, understandably, this is a very difficult time for students to be graduating with such a short time frame to find jobs. Students who were not able to find employment within 90 days were approached or were contacted by, or in some ways found out about a company that was willing to take people on for an unpaid employment role. They were giving people offer letters. Sometimes, I've heard various versions of this. Some people say that there were some forced payments for certain forced training. Some people say it was, completely unpaid. Either way, they have been investigated now by USCIS. This company, there's Andwell, there's one or two other companies, I don't know all of the names, that have been investigated by USCIS. And what's happening now is that as a result of this investigation, any student who has ever had an I-20 displaying any of those names are seeing some forms of issues in their statuses. So they're seeing either RFEs when they're applying for their STEM OPT extensions, or when they're applying for their H-1Bs. Some of them are getting emails saying that their visas have been canceled. Some of them have even reported getting calls from so-called ICE officials. We don't know if those ICE officials are real. There's all kinds of rumor going on, and one rumor is that these companies have also sold the email address and the contact information and the phone numbers of students that have been employed by them. And so these calls may be illegitimate. They may not actually be from ICE, but they're getting calls. Students are getting calls from officers who claim to be ICE officials and asked to show proof of tickets and various things. I want everyone to be aware of a few things. If you are a student, you are looking at accepting unpaid opportunities on your OPT. Please keep in mind, this is very important that you keep a track record, not just an offer letter. I've heard this more times than I can count. Is the offer letter enough? An offer letter is not enough, guys, even if it's unpaid. I know you don't have pay stubs when it's unpaid, but all an offer letter does is it talks about a prospective employment. How do you prove this employment, even if it's unpaid, after the fact? Not alone with an offer letter. You will need to provide proof of training. You will need to provide proof that you've actually done the work that the internship was supposed to be for. So please don't think that just because someone is willing to give you an offer letter that this is worth something. It's a very short-lived benefit. That benefit will run out as soon as USCIS starts issuing RFEs or anything else comes up in your case. So it's very important. I cannot stress this enough. If you are on OPT, you find an unpaid internship, make sure that your internship gives you training material. Make sure that your internship is such that you have supervision. You can call it legitimately training, because OPT, optional practical training, does have to have a learning and training component to it. That's very, very important. Then the third thing is you have to have documentation of the work you're doing on OPT, even if it's unpaid, even if it's paid actually, because pay stubs may also not be enough. So keep records of your emails, keep records of the work product that you produce, okay? I don't know why, but for some reason, one of the things that I've found is that it's hardest for me to reach students because students have some kind of a barrier to approaching lawyers. For some reason, they haven't done it. I understand it's a new thing, but for students, it's very important. You're not just relying on your peers for advice, because your peers are just as new as you. Unless they themselves have faced problems, they will not know how to find solutions to them. So it's very important that you're not only relying on your peers, you are going to legal professionals. Your DSOs have knowledge, but their knowledge is also limited. And oftentimes DSOs tell us that our students expect us to behave like lawyers, and that is not what we're trained to do. So please don't rely exclusively on DSOs to solve complex problems and to find answers. Lawyers are not that scary. We are approachable, we give consultations. Yes, you have to fork up some money, but your education was also expensive. Protecting your degree and protecting your status is worth it. Okay? So it is my intention today just to raise a flag of caution for any student, prospective student who is on OPT, who is looking at, in this tough environment at finding a job in a limited period of time and running into only unpaid opportunities. You are allowed to do unpaid work, but you have to be careful. And if you run into problems, call a lawyer. Our phone number is 312-854-7065. We are available 9 to 5 Central Time. We are located in Chicago, and we're available to serve students all over the country. So we appreciate your attention. I appreciate your attention today. And I wish you all a happy immigration journey.